Okay, you can make everything capital letters, you can make everything small letters, okay, or you can make it mixed, as you may wish to do. All right, so changing cases allows you to change the case of text in cells in Excel. All right, the formulas used include upper, lower, and proper. Okay, upper, lower, and proper. All right, so let's go ahead and see how it works right here in our Microsoft Excel. Okay, so looking at this now, we would notice that all these are in proper cases or so, capital letters starting it, like this one now, mixed or multiple ethnic groups. Every other thing is small letter. It's only the first M that is capital letter. Okay, this one now, the first A is capital letter, the first A on Asian is capital letter, the first A on American is capital letter. Okay, but we want to see how we can convert all this. In case we are asked to make use of just uppercase, how can we convert it all to uppercase? How can we convert it all to lowercase? And how can we convert it all to proper case? Okay, so this is one of the easiest functions that you would learn. One of the easiest that you will learn. Okay, because it's just upper, lower, and proper. All right, so for the upper case, we want to turn everything to capital letters. What is the formula? Equals to upper. Can you see that? Equals to upper. So click on the text you want to change to uppercase, close the bracket and press enter. Let me come again. Equals to. Now, the reason why we're making use of equals to is because of what? Every function or formula you'll be making use of in Excel has to start with an equals to sign. All right, so we start with equals to, and then we call the name of the function upper, open bracket. So what do you want to change to upper? Which text? This particular text. I'll click on it. Okay, I'll close my bracket and press enter. So you can see that this particular text is what has changed to white over here. All right, so if I want to do like the remaining of them, remember that in this cell, I am referencing cell A2. So if I copy the formula down, this cell should reference cell A3. Then this cell should reference cell A4. Then this cell should reference cell A5, and so on and so forth. To do that easily, I can easily click on the first cell that contains the formula, then come to the corner of the cell here where I have this green box. Okay, if I place my cursor on the green box, you see that my cursor changes to a black cross. All right, so all I have to do is double click. When you double click, all right, what it tells Excel to do is that replicate what you have in this cell down the column. Okay, replicate whatever you have in this cell down the column. So it is replicating the formula. And because it is replicating the formula and there's reference, the reference will update as it is going down the cell. So it started from A2. Once it goes down a row, it will change to A3. You can see that it's now A3 here. Once it goes down a row again, it will change to A4. Like that, like that, like that. All right. Now, if you have for lowercase equals to lower, open bracket, select the text you want to change, close your brackets, press enter. See that it makes everything small letters. Come here and double click all the way down, and it updates. Okay, for proper equals to proper, open open bracket, select the text, close the bracket, press enter. Once you press enter, it updates. So you come here, and the reason why it's showing like the same thing is because this is a proper case. Okay, this is a proper case. So if I double click here, now you see that for this one, where we had just this one capital letter, everything is small letter, for each word, it is starting it with capital letters. That is how proper case does. Okay, so if you go ahead and start every word with a capital letter, okay, that is for the upper, lower, and proper case. So you're just making use of a function. Input your function that you want to use, and then you replicate down. Now, one thing you should note now is this. If you feel like, okay, I am done with this range of cells, okay, and you want to delete it. Now, what do I mean? You have successfully changed the cases from capital letters or from these cases to all these cases. All right, and then you feel like you don't need this again. All right, so let's delete this column and see what happens. If I right click on the column and I click delete, you see what happens. Reference error. All right, so for those of you that did the assignment, what is the reference error and what does it mean? When did we get that error? Quickly. So I'm waiting. What is the reference error? When do we get reference error? Very beautiful. When the source has been deleted. Very beautiful. When the source has been deleted. So there is a particular cell. There is a particular cell. All right. There is a particular cell that we are referencing that has now been deleted. So it is because that cell has been deleted. That is the reason why we're having reference error. Meaning the cell you were referencing, I can't find it again. Okay, so I'm going to press Ctrl Z to undo. All right, now remember that cell B is referencing cell A2. Okay, C is also referencing cell A2. D is also referencing cell A2. So if I delete cell A2 all the way to A17, all these ones will result to an error. So how do I avoid reference? Whenever you are done with your formula and you know that you don't need the formula to update, what do I mean? Now, if I say this is a calculator, okay, and I say number 1, number 2, total, okay, and I say input your number here, and you have the total here. All right, so what I expect is that you come here, you put your number, first number and second number, 2 and 6, the total is 8. Okay, what if it is 8 and 6? Total is 14. All right, so this cell is updating. Okay, now because this cell is updating, I know I am not going to delete these rows. All right, so but these cells, I don't need them to update because I already have the values I need. I don't need this one again, which is the input. Okay, so if I want to delete the input or the source without it affecting my output, what do? I make sure I copy and paste only the values. Currently, I have the formulas in the cell, but I want just the values. Instead of showing equals to upper A2, it should show white in this formula bar. So if I highlight it all from here, highlight it all, copy it, Control C. All right, Control C to copy. Then I'll come back to where I have the place I'm starting from. Okay, where I started the copying from. I'll go back there, right click, and then click on Paste Special. Or if you have this icon, okay, this one that has paste with 1, 2, 3, you can click on that. If you don't have this icon, come to Paste Special and click on Values. Okay, so it's the same thing. So once you click on Values, you click on OK. All right. Now, to deactivate the copying or the copying process, what do? You click anywhere else on the sheet. Just double click anywhere else on the sheet to disable the copying process. Now, if you go back to your data, you will see that instead of having equals to upper A2, it is now having just the value in the formula bar. Meaning it is not referencing anything again. The output is now the only thing in these cells. The formulas are gone. So now, because it is not referencing this column again, I can go ahead and delete this column and there won't be any issue. All right. So the concept of Paste Special comes in very handy when you are working with, when you are doing data cleaning. Okay, because you use formulas and you want to delete the source, or you want to delete the what's it called, cells you are referencing. You need to make use of Paste Special to have pasted only the values of the formulas you were using. All right. So let's move on to joining text. Joining text. Joining text. Now, we have a data here, first name, last name, and then we have email. Okay. Say for instance, you have been assigned the task to create emails for every employee in a company. Okay. So you see how easy it was for us to create your unique student ID. All right. So what does it mean to join text? It simply means to bring text together. Bring together text. Okay. It simply means to bring text together. All right. So looking at this example now, I want to join the first name and last name. Let us start with something small. I'm going to insert a new cell here, or a new column. I'm going to call this full name. All right, I'm going to call this full name. Okay, now, question on the changing of upper and lower case. Yeah, go ahead, ask the question. You can drop it on the chat box. So for the full name, okay, what I want to do is that I want to join the first name and the last name. Okay, I don't want it to be separated like this. For the first one, I want Lionel Simcoe. The second one, I want Leonard Alland, and so on and so forth. Okay, how can I do it here? Is there anyone that can give me a suggestion? How do you think I can go ahead and do that based on what we have been teaching so far? Or based on what you've learned so far? I said based on what you've learned so far. Have I taught you concatenation? Very beautiful. Atwadi. Very beautiful. Flash fill, not fast fill. Okay? Flash fill. All right. So I can give an example in that case. I can tell Excel, okay, Lionel Simple. Okay? And press enter. All right. So once I start the second one, and I do Leo Nerd, do you see that? Leonard Aland. So, and I'm okay with this suggestion. I press enter. And you see that it gave me a flash fill automatically. Do you see that? Okay. Now, what if I wanted to create an email? Let's say the format for the email is first name underscore last name at gmail.com. First name underscore last name at gmail.com. Let's give an example and see if this will work now. If I say Lionel underscore Simco. Come in. Let me start again. Let me zoom in. So if I say Lionel underscore Simco at gmail.com, I press enter. Let's try the second one. Leo Nerd. Do you see that automatically with flash fill? I press enter, meaning I want this. And automatically it's able to generate the email IDs for the employees. I did not have to stress myself. So even if I have 1,000 employees, so far I know the unique company ID or company email I want to create for them. Maybe it is not at gmail.com, maybe it is at facebook.com or at what companies do we have out there? At egital.com or at thespeedventures.com. Okay, it will go ahead and just, replicate that suggestion across the column. So this is a method using flash fill. What if I do not want to use flash fill? Let me undo. Both for the full name and the email. Okay, now without making use of flash fill, but this time around using the formula. Which formula is that? The concat formula or concatenate. All right, either using the concat formula or the concatenate formula. Rayo, if you have a question, type it on the chat box. Okay, if it's something you feel like you cannot wait till the end of the class, type it on the chat box. If not, then you can just write it down somewhere, and then at the end of the class, you ask. All right, or when I start taking question. So, for the full name, if I want to make use of the concatenate function, how do I go about that? How do I go about that? I start with the equals to concat. Now, you will see that I have two kinds of formula. One is concat, the second one is concatenate. Okay? The concatenate says join several text strings into one text string. The first one says concatenate a list or range of text strings. All right, so they do the same work. The difference is that the concat is available on newer versions of Excel. Okay, while the concatenate is available only on older versions. All right, so you will not find the concat, this first one, You will not find it on some Excel version. For instance, now, Excel 2010 might not have it. Okay, but you have concatenate. So you simply make use of concatenate. Okay, so I'll make use of concatenate so that you see that it works fine. Now, concatenate what do I want to concatenate? I want to concatenate the first name, Lionel. I click on it, comma. The last name as well, Simcoe. I click on it and I close my brackets. Once I press enter, you see that it joins it together. But there's no space. There's meant to be space between the Lionel and the Simcoe. How do I tell Excel to put space? I'm going to start the formula again. Equals to concatenate. I select the first name, Lionel, comma. Now I want a space between Lionel and Simcoe. How do I denote it in Excel? I make use of a double quotation mark. My quotation mark. I open quotation mark, put space, and I close quotation mark. Once again, open quotation mark, put space, close quotation mark. Once again, open quotation mark, put space, close quotation mark. Now, the space has to be in between the quotation mark for it to work. Meaning, after the first name, put space, then comma, the last name. And then I close my brackets. So once I press enter, you see now that there is a space between the Lionel and Simcoe. So if I click here and I double click, because it is referencing cells, remember A2, B2. Once it comes down here, to change to A3, B3, isn't it? So I will come to this cell and I will double click this small green box at the corner of the cell. Once I double click, you see that it gives me the formula across the column. And this is very good. So this is using the formula. So if I wanted to do for email, how do I go about it? Equals to concatenate, open brackets. The first text I want to concatenate is what? First name, comma. Then I want an underscore. I'm going to open double quotes, put an underscore in between, and close double quotes. Once again, open double quotes so that no one says I should do it again. Put underscore in between, close double quotes. Once again, open double quotes, put an underscore, close the double quotes, then comma. So it means that after the first name that is in cell A2, put an underscore. Okay? You can see that the underscore is in between the double quotes. So if you are watching this video again and you are practicing, I would like you to pay attention, because I usually receive questions on this again. And the issue is that I find out that some people don't put the double quotes. Some people will skip one comma. And they don't bother to do thorough checking of their code or of the formula before they enter into my DM. It might be a simple comma you are missing. It might be you did not put the second double quote. That's the reason why I'm saying it over and over again. Okay? So, the first name, then in double quotes, underscore, comma. Then what? The last name. So that is first name, underscore, last name, comma. Then what? At gmail.com. Now that at gmail.com also needs to be in a double quotes. So you will now see the trend that anything that is not a cell reference like A2 or B2 has to be in double quotes, except it is a numerical value. For instance, you want to add, you want to times, 1, 2, 3, 4 numerical values. They don't have to be in double quotes. But any other thing aside numerical values and cell references should be put in double quotes. Okay? Now, I want to put at gmail.com. Open double quotes at gmail.com. Close double quotes. I close my bracket and I press enter. And you see that automatically it gives me the email. So I click on this cell and then I come to this small green box at the corner of the cell to double click so that it will do the same thing across the column. And I have my email without stress. Do you now see? Okay. Do you now see how to make use of the concatenate function? So if it is the concat function you are using as well, it will work. Okay? If it is the concat function that you are using as well, it is the same thing. Okay? It is the same thing. Let's demonstrate. If I use the concat function equals to concat, the first name, which is A2, comma, underscore, I'll open double quotes, type underscore, close double quotes, comma, last name, comma, open double quotes at gmail.com, close double quotes and close the brackets. Now, this place I'm using concat, not concatenate. But once I press enter, you see that it still gives me the same thing. So they do the same thing, but you will not see concat on old versions of Excel. Okay? So once I double click, I have it all the way down and I'm good to go. So it means that if I give you a column for city, I give you the house number, the city, and the state, you can generate a column for address that will combine all the three. Okay? You can generate a column of address that will simply combine all the three: the house number, the city, and the state. All right? So, let's move on. Text to column. Let me zoom in. Text to column. Now, look at this data and tell me, what do you notice about this data? What can you notice about the data? It needs formatting. They are all in one column. Should be in a table, not properly arranged. The limiter is comma, clustered, not clean, limited by comma, not properly arranged. Beautiful. Every single thing you've said is correct. So it is not properly arranged. It is delimited by comma. It should be in a table format. It is not clean. It is clustered. Okay? It is not tabulated. Everything is together. Okay? Not looking presentable. It needs separation. All right? Very good. Okay? Now, let us see. How can we work on this data? If we look at the first row, all right? If we look at the first row, what do we see there? We see that it contains Headers, employee ID, first name, last name, gender, age, business travel, department, and so on and so forth. Okay? Because it contains these items, all right? Below it is the records or are the records. Employee ID. I have something that looks like an employee ID. And I have first name, I have last name, I have gender, which is male. I have age, which is 29. I have business travel telling me some travel. So it means that this is actually a proper data, but it is not separated into individual columns. For instance, employee is supposed to have its own column. First name is supposed to have its own column. Last name is supposed to have its own column. But it's as if everything is together. Even though it looks as if they are on different columns, but it still looks jam-packed. What is happening? Upon exploring, we click on the first cell, cell A1, and we notice something quickly. In cell A1, in the formula bar, it's telling us that we have employee ID, first name, last name, gender, blah, blah, blah. If I click this down button at the corner here, you see this arrow at the corner here. It shows me some other details. So all these items are in cell A1. Meanwhile, it's only employee ID that is meant to be in cell A1. So what's happening? Okay, let's click on cell B1. It tells me cell B1 is empty. Okay, what of cell C1? Empty. D, empty. Wow. So immediately I remember that, Mr. Malik has talked about the data in a column spilling into another column visually. Okay, so all this data we're looking at is in the first column. It is only appearing as though it is in the other columns because there is nothing in the other columns. So Excel is just spreading it out for me. But once I put something in another column, let's see, in this column B, if I put school and I press enter, you will see how it will shut all this away. Let's see, enter. Do you see that it shuts everything away? Because the data in this column A now cannot spill over because there's now something in column B. But in cell A1, I'm still having all that data. You see that? Look at it. Employee ID, first name, last name, gender, blah, blah, blah. But it shouldn't be. All right? Now, I've explained the concepts. I've deleted that. I've explained the concepts. Now, the solution. What do you do when you have this kind of situation? You make use of the text to column operator to split. Now, in this data, you are having different values separated by comma. That is what they mean. For those of you that do not know what they mean when they said delimited, for the people that were writing delimited, okay? Delimited means, okay, what is it separated by? When you say your data is delimited, it means that there is a particular recurring character that is separating each value in your data. Okay? And that character, as we can see here, is comma. So the delimiter in this data is the comma. All right? So this, because I know that there's no data in column B, there's no data in column C. The only data I have is in everything like this is in column A. So I want to split the data in column A into respective columns. I'm going to highlight column A first. I just explained the limiter. I just finished explaining the limiter now. So once again, it is a character in your data that separates each value in that data, especially when you have long text or long strings, okay? There's a particular recurring character that separates each value one from another. In this case, it is the comma. Okay? So I'm going to highlight the column. And even to use text to columns, you can only highlight one column. at a time. So I will highlight the employee ID column. I'm going to click on my data ribbon at the top. Click on data. Okay, over here. Once you click on data, you can see that it has changed. Now I'm going to come to where I have text to columns. We're going to be filling our attendance very soon. So I'm going to click on where I have text to columns. All right. So for text to columns, where I have delimited is what I'm going to click on. Okay. So delimited is already selected. Then I'll click on next. Now be looking at this data preview. Okay. It says this screen allows you to set the blah, blah, blah. What are your delimiters? The currently checked one is tab. But my delimiter here is not tab. My delimiter here is comma. So I will uncheck tab. Now see what happens when I check comma. Look at this data preview down here. Now once I check comma, do you see the preview it gave me? It now tells me this is how your data will look like. Based on the delimiter you said, comma. If I separate based on the comma, this is how the data will look like now. Which is how it is meant to look like in different columns. So I will just click next and I will click finish. Automatically, do you see that operation? All right, automatically. All right, so that is one of the beauty of text to columns. So you need to know your delimiter. What separates the values in the data? It might not be comma. It might be an equal to sign. It might be a full stop sign. It might be just space. It might be a character. It might be a number. Whatever it is that you see that, okay, it is the one that separates the values in your data. That is what you will use as your delimiter. Okay? That is what you will use as your delimiter. So you can see how we're able to split that data accordingly. All right. So, quickly, we're going to be filling our attendance. So if you have any questions now, you can just quickly ask. If you have any questions now, you can just quickly ask while I post the link for the attendance. Someone said my screen was not visible for the last operation that I did. Why was it not visible? Everyone else, is that true? For the text to columns that we did just now, is it true you did not see what I did at all? Can someone confirm that for me? right, so that's quite a number of people that saw it. Very beautiful. All right, so I'm dropping the link for attendance now. Okay, kindly fill your attendance. We are 109 currently on this call. All right, the current responses I have here is 245. So I expect to go up until 354. So quickly, I've dropped the attendance. Please fill the attendance now. This is not your first time filling the attendance, so you should be very familiar with it. Click on the link. It will direct you to a page on your browser, and then you fill the attendance. All right. So the class is being recorded. You can always catch up again. Okay. You can always watch, pause, play, record. If you are new here, so far you filled the form that Mrs. Allison asked you to fill on the chat box. Okay, you should have your unique ID. You should have your student ID. So you are going to enter it into this form the way it was given to you. DA hyphen the numbers. Okay, so currently we're at 278 responses, and I'm looking at taking it to three words. 354, isn't it? So time is 8 o'clock. Once it is 8:01, we'll move on, or 8:02, we'll move on, so as to prevent distractions. If you joined in today and you say you don't have ID, from what I can see here, your name is Uche, so let me confirm that. I'm very sure your name is Uche Chuku. All right. So an ID has been assigned to you, Mr. Tohib. An ID has been assigned to you as well. Okay. So it shows that we are not reading the messages on the chat, on the WhatsApp group. All right. And I don't like answering, I don't like repeating the same thing over and over again, that we should read the messages on the chat box, on the WhatsApp group. That is the reason why at times we block people from dropping messages, so that they won't give the excuse that because people are always dropping messages, we don't know which one is germane. Okay? But if they drop a message on the chat box or in the WhatsApp group and you do not bother to check it out, then you are going to be missing on vital information. Okay? But I believe you have seen your unique ID now, so you can easily use that to fill. Okay, so I think I have some questions here. Aside the people asking me to repeat, when you can easily watch again. Supposing there is no delimiter in my data, how do I create one for large data volume? For example, if I copy a bank statement from PDF to Excel, how can I put it in a formatable format? The bank statement you will have in your PDF file is already in a table. So if you copy it, there is no way it will put everything in one cell. It will distribute it according to the columns. And I am not saying this I'm not guessing this. It is not that I am guessing. Okay? I have worked with bank statements before. Okay? So they are copying from a table format and taking it to Excel. It will distribute it according to the columns. Okay? So that is one. Two, when you get to Power Query, you will see that, what's it called? When you get to Power Query, you would see that you can read data from PDF format. All right? I am not dropping attendance on the WhatsApp group. I am dropping it right here in the chat box. So click the link and move on. To be honest, the messages on the WhatsApp group is too much. It's not always too much. It is only when I say you should do an assignment or comment on what you've learned in class that people drop messages. After then, the group chat gets locked. So if you are missing out any information, then it means you're not just reading the messages. All right. 803. Tohib, look at my screen. See your ID here. Akoni Tohib Opeyemi. See your ID here. This is your name. This is your ID. Okay? Same thing for Mr. Uche and for any one of you that just joined again and don't know your ID. All right. So, 804, we are starting now. All right, so how many responses do I have? 338. Okay, so I think I can work with that. If the rest of you do not feel like filling the form, then there is no problem about that. All right, so we can move on. Why are some named ticks and some are not? Because those that are not ticked did not fill the attendance form for the previous class. So it either means that they were not in class or they probably joined the class and just left it there, thinking I'm going to pick their names, okay? So they did not fill the attendance form to show that they were in class. All right. It is to curb, the reason for this initiative is to curb the excesses of students, especially in the areas of, we were in class, but we did not understand this thing. Meanwhile, you joined the class and you probably slept off 20 minutes into the class. Or you joined the class and you got distracted doing something else. So while we are passing information, passing knowledge across, you are not picking it up. Okay, so text to columns, we are done with that, isn't it? We want to move on to removing duplicates. Nice use of time. So we filled our attendance for just about 5 minutes. All right, so removing duplicates. Removing duplicates. Removing duplicates. Now, when we talk about duplicates, what do we mean? When we talk about duplicates, what do we mean? Can anyone help us? What do you think a duplicate is? Repeated word or number, a repeated text, reoccurrence of a data, reoccurring figures or text, repeated data, repeated value or data, appearance twice, things appearing more than once. Okay. All right. So something appearing more than once makes it a duplicate. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Now, in data analysis, there are instances when you might want to remove duplicates. I think I've explained that from our first class or the second one. Okay? There are instances when you might want to remove duplicates. Now, duplicates in the context of data analysis are records, okay, of the same values appearing more than once. All right. Now, let's look at this example, okay? Let's say I have a column like this. Now, for this column, I have names of people. Okay. You can easily see that there are duplicates there. All right. You can see Simcoe. You can see Simcoe. You can see Blazejewski. You can see Blazejewski. You can see Hinkins. You can see Hinkins. Right. So if I want to remove duplicates, how do I go ahead and remove duplicates? Very simple. Highlight the range of cell or the column you want to work with. Okay. After highlighting, come over to your data tab. Let me close. 352 responses. So almost everyone on this class have filled their attendance. Very good, because we're meant to go to 354 or 358. So I think almost everyone has filled their attendance. Very good. So for the remaining 4 or 5 people that did not fill their attendance, my guess is they are not participating. Their names are just showing on the class. Okay. So either I will drop the attendance and show the people that are participating. I don't know what to do. If I get any question regarding I was in class but my name did not appear, it's no matter if you were in class. What I will simply ask you is, did you fill the attendance? So if you did not fill the attendance, it's not my fault. You don't have an ID. If you have filled the link Mrs. Allison sent, you should have an ID. So now, I want to remove duplicates on this data. After highlighting the column, I'm simply going to come to my view tab, or my data tab rather. Okay, click on data and then come to remove duplicates. All right, click on data and then come over to remove duplicates. Okay, so once I click on remove duplicates, it asks me, do you want to expand the selection or continue with current selection? I'm just going to leave it as expand the selection. Okay, because they are, especially when you're working with large data sets, you want to expand the selection. Okay, I'm going to click on remove duplicates. It asks me blah 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 blah. I'll just click OK. It says to do this, all the cells. So okay, because of this cell. All right. So what I will do is very simple. Let me highlight what I want to remove duplicates from. Highlight just the range of cells I want to remove duplicates from. Okay. I'll come to data and then I'll come over to remove duplicates. It is in my data tools ribbon group. So if you come to this ribbon group, data tools, at the top, you should see remove duplicates. So if I click on remove duplicates, I'll say okay. It tells me 3 duplicates values found and removed. 3 duplicate values found and removed. 9 unique values remaining. And I'll say okay. So for this case, we can easily see the duplicates, isn't it? But in a case where we have data like this, can someone point out the duplicates there for me? Nobody, isn't it? Nobody can point out the duplicates. Okay, so how do I remove duplicates from this data? If there is a duplicate on the data, what it means is that all the values on each column, we have the same thing. For instance, if column 2 or row 2 and row 3 are duplicates, okay, it means that the employee ID will be the same. The first name will be the same. The last name will be the same. Down to the last column there, everything will be the same. That is what we mean by duplicates. Okay, So, to remove duplicates in this instance, how do you go ahead and remove duplicates? Just press Ctrl C, highlight the entire data. Okay? Ctrl A to highlight the entire data. Then come over to your remove duplicates. Click on remove duplicates. Once you click on remove duplicates, what if one name is in all caps, the other is in not? It doesn't matter. Okay? So, once you click on remove duplicates, selected columns, yes. I'm just going to click on OK. It tells me 24 duplicate values found and removed. 99 unique values remain. Okay? So it has been able to remove the duplicates for us. But beautiful question, Chino. It says, can we find duplicates first before removing? Oh, yes, you can. But this is how it will happen. You need to have a particular column that you know that the values in it must be unique. Now, I'm going to undo. Now, looking at this data, for the business travel, the values in it cannot be unique. Some people can see now, some travel, some travel, some travel, some travel. Okay? Departments now. 3 people can belong to the same department. But on this data, there is a particular column that the values in it must be unique, meaning 2 people cannot share the same value for that column. Which column is that? Very beautiful. Very beautiful. 2 people cannot share the same employee ID. So if I want to know if there's a duplicate, what I will do is that I will check on the employee ID column. How do I now check on the employee ID column if there is a duplicate? I'm going to highlight my column first, okay, from top to bottom, okay, highlight the column. Then I will come to my home tab. On the home tab, I will go over to conditional formatting. I will click on highlight sales rules and I will say duplicate values.
Yeah, Bini. Okay, done good. Okay, no problem.
So, fill the duplicate values